Hey YouTube, Yardism here. Smoking some Elizabethan in my Missouri Meerschaum, Washington. That's easy for you to say. Just wanted to do a quick VR to Matches860 and Biscuit, who did a VR as well regarding a driver's license. I learned how to drive when I was probably 13 or so. Things were different back then. There was a huge parking lot that stood empty 6 days of the week and was used for a big flea market on Sunday. My grandparents lived right around the corner from that, and my grandfather taught me to drive in a 1978 Chevy Impala tank. And over the course of many weekends, drive slow, put it in park, put it in drive, reverse, use your turn signals, that kind of thing. Basic driving stuff. When I turned 15, I got my learner's permit, and every day after school, my grandfather would pick me up in that Impala, and I would drive home. It was about probably 6 mile drive, 3 turns the whole way, a couple of red lights, and it was no big deal. Over the course of that year, I learned pretty good driving skills. My grandfather was a street sweeper for the city, and as such, he drove. The steering was on the right-hand side, like in Europe, and in order to get the gutters clean, he had to drive right next to the curb. So I'll never forget, my grandmother was constantly yelling at him, "You're too close to the curb, you're too close to the curb." And it was just habit. I mean, he did it for 30 plus years. But, don't ever recall him having an accident, or a speeding ticket, of any kind of moving violation or anything like that. My grandmother, however, did get not a speeding ticket, but a ticket for running a stop sign, which she did not run. And she complained about that. It was as if it cost her $1,000. It was actually an $18 ticket, but she was in the right, and she knew she was in the right. Me and my brother were in the car when it happened, and I can attest that she stopped that stop sign. She didn't know what a rolling stop was. She was by the book, buddy. Anyway, over the course of that year, my grandfather taught me to drive fairly well. I was confident. And you had to take a written test and then a driving test. I studied and studied that little booklet. It had about 30 sample questions in the back of it. I knew it as well as I knew anything, I thought. So I turned 16, went in on my birthday to take the test. And it might as well have been a Greek test. There were questions that I had no idea what they meant. It's like, this was not in the book. So, can't prove that, but what is the flying speed of the European swallow and things like that. But, I do remember one actual question that I missed on there was, what color is the tip of a blind person's walking cane? Not being blind and not having been around a blind person ever, and never seeing that question discussed in the manual, I had no idea. I thought it was red. Apparently it's white, or vice versa, I don't recall. Anyway, missed 7 questions, flunked the test, come back the next day, pay your $15 or whatever it was. Took it again. I think I missed 3 the next day because they were actual questions pertaining to driving. It's not as if I would run over a blind person if they didn't have the proper color tip on their cane, but neither here nor there. So I pass my written test, and I go to take the driving test that same day. It was very simple: drive around the cemetery, parallel park, do a 3-point turn, make a couple of turns, very simple stuff, and passed it with no problem. So I was now a licensed driver, and really what you want to do to a 16-year-old boy who's a racing addict, given his driver's license, is supply him with a 1974 Pontiac Grand Prix with an engine bigger than our house at the time, and say, here you go, have fun. So I did. I didn't have a job at that point, at least I don't recall, but I didn't have a lot of money at that point, I'll put it that way. I was out with a buddy of mine driving around, and it snowed. This was December 14th, and it was pretty early for snow in Alabama. It usually occurs, if it occurs, in January. Anyway, it started snowing that night, fairly heavily for Alabama. It was about 2 inches, but it was enough to completely cover up the back window of my car. In the course of driving around, we decided that we needed to stop through McDonald's and get a burger or something. I'm sitting in McDonald's drive-thru with what little cash I have. Probably had like $5 or something. I looked down and I noticed my gas gauge is empty. Empty. Any minute I was going to run out of gas. There happened to be a gas station right across the street. I thought, don't think I'm going to make it through this drive-thru, wait for a burger, and be able to make it over to get gas before I run out. And I really don't want to have to push my car. So, looked around, didn't see anything, looked in my mirror, saw a bunch of snow, put it in reverse, started to back up, went about 2 feet. Whoa! Backed into someone. I get out of the car, I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this. This guy's going to kill me. My parents are going to kill me. I'm never going to drive again. Life as we know it has ended. So, get out and look, and the guy's driving like a 72 Dodge pickup truck or something. If there were a spot on that truck that didn't have a dent or rust, I couldn't find it. The guy's kind of laughing. He's probably 50 years old, and kind of snickering at me. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you, snow on my window, blah, blah, blah. He just kind of laughed at me and patted me on the shoulder, and he said, you can figure out which one of them dents you caused, we'll settle up. And if you can't, I don't know which one it was. It'll be on your way. So I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I was extremely pleased to not be going to jail or traffic court or whatever horrible things were flowing through my brain at that moment. Don't know whatever happened to that guy. I'm sure he probably dealt with people like me quite a few times by the look of his truck, but I kept that car for quite a while and found out just exactly how fast it could go, which was way too fast for a 16-year-old idiot. I traded in that 74 Grand Prix with the 400 cubic inch engine, and I didn't trade it in. Transmission died in it, and it wasn't worth fixing. But my second car was a 1978 Chevrolet Chevette. I had a Vette. You talk about night and day. That car, if you had too many groceries in the back, you couldn't go uphill. But anyway, I just wanted to respond to those driver's license stories and give one of my own. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Hope you have a great week coming up. Take care of yourself. Keep the fires burning. And I still don't have a tagline.